Hi everyone, welcome to another third quarterly wrap up. And before we start this quarterly wrap up, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel, who are here watching this video. We have reached 100 subscribers on this channel, and I know it may not seem like a lot compared to everyone else in this world, but I'm very appreciative of all of you, every single one of you who chooses to like these videos, comment on it, and really, subscribe and follow me for my content. I hope to be creating more content for you that is enjoyable. I hope that you're already enjoying the content that I put out. And I would like to continue to thank you guys so much for all of your support. Now let's get on with this video. So in the third quarter, many things are happening in my life. I was schooling again and I changed my jobs. I was in the midst of essentially resigning and then looking for new jobs and then going on my Japan trip. And so a lot of things happened. And therefore, when seeing this number of books, you might be more understanding of the situation. I've only read about 11 books in this quarter. Like I said, not a lot, but they're all pretty good reads for me in this quarter. So let's start off with the very first book, A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. This is a cozy fantasy series that follows a woman talking about her life, like a memoir style. And so this book is essentially set like in a Victorian London, UK of some sorts. And it is an alternate world where instead of dragons just being mythical creatures, they are normal creatures in our world. This story is, like I said, very, very cozy, and there's something just so endearing about listening to someone talking about their life story and just narrating their life to you. I read this on audio, which makes it all the more beautiful, and it feels like someone has actually lived such a fruitful life, an exciting life, because clearly she's like a dragon zoologist of some sort, and that was so fun. I think if you're someone who is a dragon enthusiast, you will enjoy this book, because I think even though it's not so much about dragons, seeing another person talk about dragons with such love and compassion would get you as a dragon lover to get really excited. And for me, I'm a dragon lover, so that makes complete sense why I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just think that it was not the most unique story, of course, and it was not the most exciting story, but I still had the most comforting time reading this book, and I would wish to continue on with this series. The next book I read is Voice of War by Zack, Argyle, and this is part of a series called the Threadlight series. And so I'll just talk about the series in general. You can catch the vlog up here, where I talk in-depthly about how I felt about this entire series. Me reading the Threadlight series by Zack Argyle is actually part of a video series that I have on my channel where I read self-published books, and this is the very first series that I wish to go with. And sadly, I was kind of disappointed with the results. I enjoyed the first book, Voice of War, very much, but I didn't enjoy Stones of Light and Bounds of Chaos as much. In fact, I felt like the story went downhill as I progressed. And the story is about a character named Chris, and he lives in a world where they're able to thread weave. Thread weaving means that they have the ability to see objects around them with like threads connecting all of them, and you either have the ability to pull or push away from them, and that means that you're either a sapphire or an emerald user. So their eyes will light up and their veins will be like blue if they're sapphire thread weavers. And so some people have the ability to do both. Most people only have the ability to do one of them. And if you have brown achromatic eyes, it means that you are not able to use thread weaving powers. And in this world, Chris is trying to find out why so many thread weavers are going missing, because there seems to be a secret organization that are capturing thread weavers, killing them, and using their blood to essentially be able to thread weave even if they don't have the ability to do so. Yeah, so that's problematic, and Chris has to go and discover all that shit because he essentially is like the police force in his country, and concurrently his child was just being born, and the strangest things have happened in which that his child Aiden has eyes that are quite unlike any other. It is not blue, it is not green, it is not brown, but it is yellow, and we have no idea what that means in the story. And so we go on with the entire series and we figure out the the history of thread weaving and the idea and the world that is built around it. And I think Zack Argyle did a good job trying to build the thread weaving aspect about this story and understanding why people can thread weave, why some people can do two, why can some people do one, and what are the other colors of the color wheel that they can thread weave. And yeah, he did a good job with that, but everything else in terms of the world building was kind of a big miss for me. I felt like he opened many doors and closed none of them, and the house that is the story is receiving a lot of draft and wind and feeling very empty and cold and not great. So, what a weird metaphor. Whatever. Anyway, the point is that the reason why I didn't enjoy it as much was really because of the world building. I felt like it was lacking. As someone who is more of an advanced fantasy reader, I felt like it was not enough. He could have done more. These books are only about 300 pages long. I mean, I didn't do the word count, but let's just say it's about 300 pages long. There's so much more that he can probably do with his world building, and I would appreciate it if it was longer, in fact. And I didn't love the characters as much. Actually, most of the characters I didn't connect with, and I didn't have a good time following them at all, which I guess really impedes my enjoyment of them. Yeah, but I wouldn't discourage you to pick up this series because I feel like there is potential that a new fantasy reader might enjoy this because the world is a little less complex, though it's somewhat complex, but it's fast-paced, so keep your attention. And in terms of liking characters and connecting with characters, I feel like that's really personal, and you may actually enjoy these characters much more than I do. So I still implore you to give it a try and figure out your opinion on this series. Don't let my subpar opinion of them hinder what you might feel about this. And if you are someone who enjoys this series, I'm really happy for you. And that's how I feel about the Threadlight series by Zack Argyle. The next thing I read is the most exciting thing that I read this year. Honestly, 5 out of 5. If I can give it 6 out of 5, honestly, I'll give my everything for this book. And I had the pleasure of receiving an ARC slightly earlier than the release, which is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L Wang. And this book is seriously good. As you know, I'm a huge M.L Wang fan. I'm a big Sword of Kaigen fan, and I love her writing so much, and her characterizations and her plots and her everyday and her worlds, and I'm just in love with this woman. And Blood Over Brighthaven did not disappoint. It's a dark academia science fiction fantasy kind of thing. And we're following a character named Siona. I've heard many renditions of this name, and I don't know which one is correct. But as you can see in my reading vlog above, I struggled with their freaking name the whole way through. I think I named her Scania. It's like a scone and a Nia. So, okay. Scania is a really powerful magician in her own right. But in this world, it's really like racist, misogynistic for her to become like a high mage of some sort. She will have to go through an exam, but there's never been a female high mage before. And she is the very first one they have ever received and ever to pass the exam. And that's the greatest part of the story. Scania is like not a very likable character, but to me, I love her. I love her growth. I love her grittiness. I love the fact that she is selfish. It's not that I really want that in a person. Like, I wouldn't want to really be her friend, I think, because she's really selfish. But it's just something so endearing about following a character such as her. Yeah, and we have another character called Tomu, who is like one of the people that lives outside of the city. And he's like a refugee in this city, and he's not treated very nicely. And so you go through the story figuring out the magic system that is this world, and seeing the story and the politics behind how this world and city is being set up, and it will shock you, sort of, if you don't see it coming. And for me, I definitely did not see it coming. And most people know that M.L Wang, like her stories, are really good from start to finish, but it And it really shocks you by the like 70 to 80% mark. She can still do so much and really hurt you deeply as a reader. And I loved it so much. I don't know what else to say other than gush. You can catch my video where I incoherently talked about my feelings. And the next thing I read was The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is part of the One to Rule Them All series that I have on my channel. As usual, I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed my time, but somehow not as much as the very first book, which is The Fellowship of the Ring. I think The Two Towers was a little bit slow because we are following two different perspectives and it's split up into two different parts. So we keep following one group for like the whole next few chapters, and then we jump to the other group, and I just felt like that was really jarring. I wish it was concurrently done where we can get both sides of the story on the flip side, and it feels a lot more like cohesive as a story. But it's okay. I still enjoy learning about the story very much. I really love the ends. You can catch my vlog Birth if you are interested in The Two Towers. But I enjoyed my time. I love Middle Earth so much. I became a die-hard fan of this world and this series, and I just want to learn about this wonderful world that J.R.R. Tolkien has created. The next thing I read is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So, as you know, the prequel of The Priory of the Orange Tree just came out this year. I can't remember its name, but that's the reason why I was really interested in finally picking up The Priory of the Orange Tree so I can read that sequel, which I have not yet read. So what's the point? Anyway, because I've for many years wanted to read this book, but I was very intimidated by how big it is and that it's so long and that it was receiving many mixed reviews, and some people are loving it, some people are not. And so I pushed off picking it up until finally Samantha Shannon came to Singapore, and then I was insanely motivated to do so. The Priory of the Orange Tree, how would I describe it? We're following various groups of people in a world that is really cool, and essentially it's been destroyed. No, it was almost destroyed by this like dark one before that. It was supposed to be like a Wyvern, which essentially is like a dragon, and different parts of the world now hate and love dragons in their ways. But some people worship the Wyverns, which is like evil dragons. Some just hate all dragons, and some worship the water dragons, which is like an Eastern dragon kind of like characters, and they like love the water and they are like motherly and loving, not like the Wyverns that are like built from fire. You get what I mean? And so we see various parts of the world coming together to finally defeat the Dark One again as he is rising. And that is essentially the story. I want to warn you that there's not much dragons in here. I think many people have already said that in their reviews. There are not much dragons in here. Anyway, the water dragons are really what I love in dragons. They're able to think for themselves. They are like, worshipped in this world, and I love those dragons very much. They're very kind creatures, and I love dragons. As you can see, I'm a dragon girly. Oh, that's new. Yeah, so I enjoyed The Priory of the Orange Tree very much. I think some people say that it's a bit too long, and I somewhat agree. I feel like this book should have been split up into two segments, but then I think there will be a slog in that end of the first and then start of the second, and so I get why it's placed into one single book, but it can feel a little bit draggy towards the middle where we feel like, where are we going exactly with this story? But the world is insanely expensive. There is so much about it. It feels real. It feels so like there is so much depth in this world. Samantha Shannon truly went above and beyond with building this world, and I could see its history. We know about the events that happened with the Dark One previously, and then many years later we are here again with the Dark One rising, and how different factions of the world have reacted to the events of the past and how they are reacting now, and how the politics between each country and their ruling nations and parties that are involved in the politics, I love. This is my kind of thing. And is it a spoiler alert? But I don't think it is. I've heard about the sapphic relationship that's present in the story, but I didn't know that it would be between these two characters that I saw in the story, and I was shocked, but I loved it. I'm not a romance girly. You should know that I'm not a romance girl. I don't really like romance in my fantasy series a lot, But this one, I sucked it up real good. I don't know how Samantha Shannon did it, but that pining girl, it got me really interested in that. And I just, yeah, I was just like, yes, yes, girls, get on together, get on together. Okay. But yeah, no. I'm not ashamed, but I'm a little bit ashamed, I guess. And yeah, that is what's with the Priory of the Orange Tree. Read it. I like it. Don't read it if you're not, like, if you're a starter fantasy reader, like a newbie, because I think you might not enjoy this as much. I think if you experience more fantasy worlds, you will enjoy this a little bit better. Yeah, don't read it first. Maybe read something else. Yeah. The next thing I read, and also the only book that I DNF'd this particular quarter, is Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. Yes. This is a YA fantasy regarding dragons and how humans ride them, but the dragons are not sentient creatures where they are able to think for themselves. And then I didn't like that because of that. I think they're not sentient creatures. I didn't read very much into it. It's just the writing style and the characters immediately I detested, and then I just dropped it. I don't think it's inherently a bad book. I just think that it's not for me, and I can't judge if it's truly a bad book since I didn't finish it. But I knew from the 100 pages mark that this book was not for me, and so I stopped. And you may pick it up if you're interested, because a lot of people who have read Fourth Wing loves this book, even if they didn't love Fourth Wing. So if you're a Fourth Wing hater, you might love Fireborne. Go give it a try. The next thing I read is the infamous Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. That queen cannot miss. Yellowface follows a Juniper song, and she's just like a white girl trying to make it in the author world, and somehow she just can't, and she's very, very upset. But her, on the other hand, her friend, who is an Asian beauty, who is like deep and everything, is able to get really good book deals and whatsoever, and she's kind of jealous of her. But one day, the two of them were hanging out, and her friend chokes on a freaking pancake and dies. And as she's dying, Juniper's like, I'm gonna steal your manuscript right in front of your eyes. And she steals it and uses it as her own and poses as Juniper's Song, which is actually, Song is not her name. Song is like a middle name. Yeah, and she treats it like a surname to give the ambiguous, like, I may be Asian kind of thing. And the story is actually about the Chinese, like, immigrants in Canada during World War One. And for her to write that story isn't usually quite so appropriate. And so anyway, she steals the story. Already, that is bad plagiarism. And she really tries to convince the reader that she's trying to do some good. She's still trying to put her friend's story out there. And like, I just don't want to let her story die. I'm like, girl, you're stealing her story right under her nose and saying it's yours. Oh my god, how can you manipulate me like that? I can't be manipulated. And point is, so Juniper struggles within this story, and it's truly just a story about race and like authorship and just understanding that landscape. I think when I finished reading this, I did have to sit back and think a little bit about the conversations that R.F. Kuang has put into my head, that things he says really makes me challenge my beliefs to a certain point, or make me it really challenges how I've been seeing the world. I thought it was fascinating. And none of the characters are likable in this story, but they're so goddamn compelling. And I love this story because it's not necessarily an enjoyable time. I feel like it went nowhere in terms of the plot, but it's a story that makes me think. And that's what I love so much about R.F. Kuang. She makes me question morality. She makes me question about things that I've otherwise thought was always this way. And then she flips it over and she's like, this is the other side of the coin that you have not been seeing. And I'm like, okay, wow, way to expand my horizons, Rebecca. My god. Yeah. So that's what's with Yellowface. I don't think I was very coherent, but you can catch the vlog where I read it up here. And I think I really went through my thoughts really well there. I think that is an excellent read if you're someone who loves to question about life. The next thing I read is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. You can catch my review up here. This is part of the series that I do on my channel, which is my SFF tackle down, where I have many unread fantasy or sci-fi books on my shelf, and I try to bring the numbers down. and Queen of the Tearling is one of them. I enjoyed this book more than I thought. Okay, so I thought that this was a YA fantasy. It is not, it's adult, just a FYI. So this book is about a young girl who is turning 19, and that means it's time for her to be a queen. So she's always been kept away from the palace because everybody was trying to kill her. They didn't want her to be queen. And one day she finally reached the age and she's not dead, so she takes up the throne. So we're just following her through understanding the politics in her queendom, seeing how people are trying to sabotage her, understanding the relations between her and other countries. And as a plot, it seems rather meandering at the start, but by the end, we get somewhere where we know we need to go. So the point is that I thought I wouldn't enjoy this as much because I thought that this was like really amateur, like it was YA, and it's not that YA is bad, don't get me wrong, but I just don't enjoy YA series as much as before. Anyway, I get why people think like the Queen of the Tearling is a YA fantasy, because I feel like in terms of the writing style, in terms of like the world, it feels very YA, where it's not like extremely built, it's a little bit confusing, and the writing style is very more like young girl in her head kind of thing. But it's not first person, but it feels like that way, like a young girl coming of age story, so that feels a little bit young. But the truth is the themes are extremely heavy. There are scenes of like slavery, sexual abuse, rape, all sorts of things, and I was not expecting that. I felt like it really like slapped me across the face, and I was just taken aback. But this was good to me. I felt like, I don't know whether this is extremely good for everybody in general. I don't think it was very incredible, like groundbreaking, show-stopping, stunning, whatever it is. I just thought that this book was truly made for a person like me, where I enjoyed stories about where I see a young person coming to their power and trying to grow with the world around them and understanding the world and being confused and feeling lost, and yet having to do all the things that you need to do. Maybe because I am someone who's like that and I still feel lost in life, and I feel like seeing them trying to achieve things makes me feel like I've been achieving things. In any case, I enjoyed this book terribly. I think I explained my thoughts a lot better in the review above, and please go check it out so you'll understand a lot more if you're interested in the Queen of the Tearling. So we've reached the final book, which is Girl Squad Volta by M.L Wang. Does that name sound familiar? Because it is familiar. This is by M.L Wang, but because it's a middle grade book that she wrote, middle grade series, she decided to go with M.L Wang, not to confuse the two things that she does. And this was fun, but nothing special. It's sort of like Alien, Sailor Moon, Wings Club kind of thing. And it's just about a young girl being very, very like sad that she and her friend are kind of drifting apart, and then one day she just suddenly realizes like, hey, maybe I can fight, maybe I can be like a Wings Club member. And that's like a 119-page introduction to this entire series. I feel like this is the first book, but I feel like you need to read the first book and the second book together to really get the full story, because that is clearly just like a small little setup. And that's why I didn't enjoy that very much, but I get the intent, and I like the Wings Club factor. I like the Sailor Moony thing. I'm someone who loves that shit. And actually, less of Wings Club, it reminds me more of Witch. You know that comic book series? Because in Girl Squad Volta, the girls, when they are like in their humanish form, not all of them are human, just a FYI. When they are in their human form, they're like young. But when they transform, they become older. And in Witch, that's exactly the same thing. So I guess more of Witch than Wings Club. But then they look like fairies. I'm confused. Anyway, I plan to continue on with this series. In fact, I'm on book 2. I think it's a little bit immature for me somehow, but it's middle grade, so I'm not that age group. And I think a lot of middle graders will actually enjoy this like fun fairy adventure where you can be a hero and it's just very exciting, and yet it explores the insecurities of being a young girl growing up. So yeah, so that's the end of the wrap up for books. But now I want to talk about music. I did this in my last wrap up. I don't know if anybody was even interested in that part, but I love talking about music. So in the third quarter, I created a playlist for every single song that I've listened to that I enjoyed very much. I put it into a playlist. This is something that I do I started to do this year and have one for every quarter. And in this quarter, I would like to first talk about the honorable mentions before we go up to my top 5 songs that I've enjoyed terribly in this quarter. So the first song is Girl Giving by XG. You know, if you listen to this song and you need to pick me up, girls or boys or whatever, whoever you are, it's just like empowerment in a song, and you just keep going and you're like, yes, I'm a strong independent woman, yes, I can do this, no, I don't have social anxiety, I can face the world, I can make that phone call. You can just listen to that song and not feel so alone. Yeah. And the other honorable mention is New Emotions by Infinite. Honestly, New Emotions by Infinite is just bringing up really big old emotions that I had with them, because they're like one of my favorite K-pop groups when I was younger. And so listening to that is just like, I used to love you guys. That's all. And the final honorable mention is XOXO by Johansen. I think that is just a really like boppy song, and I just want to feel happy when I'm down, and so I listen to XOXO. It's like amazing. So that's all. It's just a boppy song. If you wanna like dance and get your cardio points up, just listen to XOXO by Johansen. And now we reach our top 5 songs. There's top 5 songs, but there's no ranking in the songs, so they're just like that. But the first song I want to talk about is Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo. As you know, this song took everyone by storm because honestly, it is excellent. I love this so much. I just something about it, just musically like good for my ears. And it's really bitchy, and it's really like, yeah, F you and your sick ways to your like ex-boyfriend. I've never broken up before, but I love breakup songs. It's just like my kryptonite. And the next thing I listened to and loved was What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. Everyone but me has watched this freaking Barbie movie, and truth is that I was excited for like 2 years straight until this year. And then I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not excited. And everybody kept doing the Barbie Oppenheimer thing, and I'm not intrigued by that shit. I just love Barbie dolls and Barbie in Dreamhouse, and anybody who's an OG Barbie lover loves all the Barbie classic movies, and obviously the Barbie Life in a Dream House. That freaking series had me cackling at like 17 or 18 years old, where I'm technically like not in my Barbie phase anymore, but I love the freaking series. Go and watch it. I implore you to. Anyway, What Was I Made For was just such a heartbreaking song by Billie Eilish, and that is the song that everybody thinks of when they finish the freaking Barbie movie, and they're literally contemplating about life and wondering what were they truly made for. And this is how I feel on a daily basis. Like, why the hell am I here? Why the hell am I here and doing nothing with my life and not contributing to society and being like a, useless human being? And that's how I feel. And then Billie Eilish confirms that's how everyone feels, and then I don't feel so alone. Yeah. And the next song is Well by Jacob Collier. And that song was actually created in collaboration with his Crocs that he made, which I own. And it's just such a happy song, clearly because What Was I Made For made me die inside. I needed Well to pick me back up. So I needed a song to make me dance and get my cardio points up. Just a happy song, and I'm a Jacob Collier fan, and there's nothing else I can say about that. And the second song that I loved very, very much is a song that reminds me of my childhood very much. And Miss Taylor Swift released it in September. I think it was September. It's September, yes, which is her Sparks Fly Taylor version. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but this song by Taylor Swift is my everything. And it is Back to December. But I'll be surprised. Has to be a lot of people's favorite breakup song that Taylor Swift has written, which is her only apology song that she's ever written to Taylor Lautner. And it's just such a freaking good song. And I told you guys I'm in love with breakup songs. And this song is a good breakup song because it's like, I'm pining for you, but I'm the one in the wrong. Yeah, and I think that song is just fire. And it just hits all the right feels and makes me want to cry. I don't know what's wrong with me. And the final song that is on the list is Your Tears Are Mine by 1OK Rock. And I'm a gigantic 1OK Rock fan. I love J.R.R. I just went for a concert with my friend for Man with a Mission. Dude, I don't like that band, but I had the greatest time there, like jumping and dying and just feeling happy. Anyway, so Your Tears Are Mine by 1OK Rock is part of the newest album in its English version. Um, but they also have it in their Japanese version. It's not like they don't have it, but it's like a new song, and I just think it's so good. Like, it just hits all the right feels. It's like perfectly rock and ballad at the same time, and I love both things, and they mashed it up into one thing. It's perfect. Anyway, it's also because that I'm going for their concert in December, and I'm prepping myself to like listen to all the songs that are newer, because I listen to a lot of their old songs, and so I'm just prepping myself because this is for the Luxury Disease, album that they came up with. So of course I have to listen. In any case, that is truly the end of the third quarterly wrap up for this channel. I just once again want to thank all of you for watching, for following, for subscribing, for commenting, for liking my videos, and thank you so much for watching. Tell me down below what is like one of the best books you have ever read this year, because I'm interested, and hopefully I'll maybe get to it if I'm interested. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.